A student produced this for UND's TV show, Studio One.
Tobacco was the first cash crop grown in North America starting in 1612. Since then, mass amounts of money have been going towards both selling and preventing its use. Tobacco Prevention Coordinator at Grand Forks Public Health, Kailee Dvorak, is here to tell us why prevention and control of tobacco is so important. Thank you for being on the show with us today, Kailee.
Thank you for having me, Kari.
What exactly is the Center for Tobacco Prevention and Control, and why was it formed?
Back in 2008, the voters in North Dakota passed an initiated measure, called Measure 3 back then, and that is when the Center for Tobacco Prevention and Control Policy, otherwise known as BreatheND, was formed. And the Measure 3 law also stated that a portion of the tobacco settlement dollars that come into the state of North Dakota would be utilized to fund a tobacco program at or above the CDC recommended level.
And so how is that funded? Not by taxpayers at all?
No, it is actually funded by tobacco settlement dollars that come into the state of North Dakota.
What is your guys' main goal at Grand Forks Public Health as far as tobacco prevention and control?
Our main goals is mainly to prevent youth initiation to tobacco, as well as to decrease tobacco rates across the board.
And so if you go back to before this was passed, in bars and restaurants, what were the conditions in there, like the air quality?
We actually, interesting that you asked that, we actually did a study prior to our 2010 smoke-free law that was passed in the city of Grand Forks. We went out to establishments that were still allowing smoking prior to the law going into place. And then we also did a post-law study as well, and we compared those. And what we found was prior to the law, the levels were at a harmful, or 2 times of what the EPA would say is a healthy level for workers. It fell 92%, the air quality improved to a good level.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
What was your reaction when those results came in? How did you feel?
It's great to see that policy initiatives can have that great of an impact on the health of a community.
Why do you think this campaign was such a success?
As we continue to, the voters in North Dakota passed Measure 3, and as we continue to do work across the state in our community, we always survey to see if the support's there, and the support of the voters in the community and statewide continue to be there.
Do you have some examples of how this has been such a success, like some programs or things that you've seen?
Yes, we have tobacco-free school policies that have gone across the state, which is great to see. We also, with our funding, are able to partner with UND so that tobacco prevention policy efforts as well as cessation resources are offered on UND campus.
There's also been a decline of tobacco use among kids. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. From 2009 to 2015, the North Dakota high school smoking rate has dropped about 48%.
What do you think is causing that decline?
Policy initiatives across the state have a great impact on preventing youth from starting tobacco and creates that social norm where tobacco use is not accepted.
The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids thinks that North Dakota is the only state that's spending enough money on this issue. Why do you think that is?
It was due to the law passed back on Measure 3 back in 2008 that it says by law that we should be spending at CDC recommended levels.
What are some ways that some kids get lured into using tobacco products?
The tobacco industry does market, they continue to market in our state, and actually they market 4 times to the amount of funding comes into our state from tobacco industry marketing to what we spend on tobacco prevention efforts. So even though it may not seem like they are present, they are always present.
You told me that e-cigarettes are now included into some of these tobacco policies. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. The City of Grand Forks identifies e-cigarettes as a tobacco product, and that is included in our licensing and how those products are placed, and we do not allow the sale, purchase, or possession of those to those under the age of 18.
How is the UND campus affected by that?
One of the policy initiatives in September of 2015, UND campus did update their tobacco-free campus policy to now include e-cigarettes.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting.
Does that feel like a big win for you guys then, that they continue to add things onto that?
Absolutely. UND has always been a leader in tobacco-free campus policy initiatives, so it's great to see that they're taking this lead as well.
In your opinion, why do you think it's so important to spend this much money on such a big problem like this?
All of our efforts are based on CDC best practices, and CDC states that it's a good good investment for the amount of money that is spent. And the longer states spend on that, the more policy initiatives, that type of thing, that social norm changes, and the cost of tobacco or the toll of tobacco on the citizens of North Dakota will continue to decline.
How have you seen the social norms change throughout the years?
From when I started in tobacco prevention to now, more and more public places are now clearly smoke-free, which is wonderful, but also we are working in our department across our community with apartment management companies as well as apartment owners on smoke-free housing options.
How does it make you feel to be able to positively impact all of these people with this law being passed?
I think it's great that the health benefits are there. It's supported by CDC best practices to show that those initiatives are not just for this generation, but for future generations as well.
What's next for future success in this?
I think continued funding, as well as we know that one of our best practices is to also increase the price of tobacco products. There is several public health benefits to that as well. One, decreasing youth initiation.
Great. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today, Kailee.
Thank you, Kari.